Hello, this is David D. Hilster. I am a critical thinker, dissident scientist, and I'm here to tell you the truth about science. Something university professors won't tell you, the mass media won't tell you, and certainly those science evangelists won't tell you. Well, I want to thank all my subscribers, and this is the first time you've come to my channel. Well, you should subscribe below and click that little bell, because when I make a new video, it will tell you. It'll email, it'll alert you on your phone, whatever, and you will get some new information of things you'll never find anywhere else on the internet except here. And what is that? Well, people who are real scientists, real engineers, real critical thinkers, people like yourselves, working very seriously outside the mainstream. Why? Because the Big Bang, particle physics, relativity, space-time bending fabric, what is it? If you've got all those doubts and you're thinking to yourself, it's got to be better than this, well, you came to the right place. That's what we talk about. So remember, subscribe. And some of my subscribers who are thinking about doing their own YouTube channels, critical thinkers in science, we're getting there. This is my Yeti, Blue Yeti. It's a beautiful thing. It's got a stand and everything. I put a pop filter in it. For those of you who don't know what a pop filter is, this thing, pop, pop, pop. See, I can say that word. Well, in English, I'm a master's in linguistics for computers. I know a little bit about it. We have plosives. Plosives are P, T, and K. P, T, and K. Put your hand up to your mouth. If you're a native speaker of English, you'll feel that puff of air, and that will tell you, oh my gosh, when I say that and I go in front of a microphone, some of my favorite YouTubers that I listen to almost daily, they need a pop filter. Come on, go get one. And those of you who don't speak English as a native language, and if you put your hand up here and say pop, and you don't feel a puff of air, you got to work on your pronunciation. All right, but today I'm here to talk about, of course, the God particle or the ultimate particle. This is something we all think about. This is something like, is the universe all made up of one particle? And that is a great question. And of course, you can look at mainstream science and particle physics, mainstream science, but the particle system is flawed. Now, if you didn't know, I already did a video on this. I'll put the link below in the description area so you can click on it. And I talk about how the particle system in mainstream science is flawed. I'll go over a little bit, just if you don't want to go back there, and just a reminder, hey, we started out with atoms. We started out with other things before, but atoms, we get about over 100 in the periodic table. Woohoo! We found the ultimate particle. In fact, atoms is atomic structure. You can't just divide it. We found that they are made of smaller particles, and not only that, they've gone from over 100 to just 3. Electron, proton, neutron. That's 3. And that's cool. And so we can now describe all the atoms with only 3 particles. Now we get to, maybe they're made of something, because now we're on this kick like, hey, we keep smashing stuff together. We're going to find smaller and smaller parts. There's got to be another one. Well, maybe everything's made of quarks. That would be like the ultimate particle, the God particle. So yeah, we got it. But we have to have 6 of them, okay? Because we need them to organize, and we'll talk about that later. But they go to 6, then they went to 9, then they went to 6, but it's quarks. That's a problem, really, because if it's just quarks, why do we have 6 of them and they have to all be different? That sounds like a periodic table, so we should have a periodic table of quarks or periodic table of particles like that. Check out Jeff Lee and his new channel. Great model. I love his model. But anyways, I digress. We have quarks, and the idea was to put one name. So you went atoms and all the names there, to electron, proton, neutron, 3. Now everything's made of quarks, except there are 6 of them. So we really went from 3 to 6, and so you can see that's not a great system. So that's something that we have to look at as critical thinkers. Well, what else is there? That's why you come to this channel. The God particle is magic. It's got to be magic. That's what happened to quarks. We named one, and how does it organize itself? I mean, that's a real problem. How do you get a particle, the ultimate particle, to organize itself? If it's one particle and one characteristic, you have a real problem. You have a paradox here. It's going to have to be magic. You're going to have to imbue it with magical powers, because it's going to have to organize itself. You can't, if it was just a particle flying around the universe with no magical powers, nothing like charge, or upness or downness or iso spin, half spin, quarter spin, three-quarter spin. I don't know how. Love my dad's. How do you do a half spin on a particle? Does it go like this and stop? But if it does that and stop, problem. So it is magical because it's going to organize itself. That's why we have in quarks, we have one name and name only, and we have all kinds of characteristics that are arbitrary attributes on arbitrary particles. One of my favorite, of course, Unziger comes to the rescue on that one. But if you have, think about it. Okay, you're thinking about the universe and it's one particle. It's the God particle. It's the quark. Or some other one. It's going to have magical powers too. Otherwise, what you have is like a sea of neutrinos, which they think, exist neutrinos, but if they do exist, and they're flying all around, the whole universe is going to end up in a big soup of neutrinos that just fly around. But if you have an ultimate particle, meaning the entire universe is based on that particle, you've got to have it have magical powers, which you have to assume it has. Okay? There's no doubt about it. You can have a magical shape to it. Magically, it's this shape, and it has these characteristics. It's all made of this way, this thing, but it's the last one. There's nothing below it. And you got some problems. Let me tell you another problem with the ultimate particle. The God particle is infinitely dense. Here is a thought experiment. Michael D. Hilster, my brother, please forgive me, because I'm not going to make graphics for this. But the idea is, here's the ultimate particle. Let's say this is it. Okay, this globe, very, very valuable globe actually. And we are going to shrink ourselves down smaller and smaller, 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 smaller. If this is made of parts, we'll eventually get to the point where we'll find a hole. If it's made of parts, it's going to be a hole. You mean the parts are infinitely dense too? No, it doesn't make sense. This is the ultimate particle. There should be no holes. It should be right here. It may be a funny shape, whatever, but you can't go smaller and smaller and find a hole, because if it's a hole, then it's made of something, because it's the ultimate particle. You're not going to find a hole. If you're not going to find a hole, it's infinitely dense. If it's infinitely dense, that's pretty heavy. Infinite is heavy, to put it mildly. This is a problem you have to think about. And these are things that, in my opinion and other people's opinion who believe in what I'm going to talk about shortly next, what I'll talk about next, is that if you assume there's an ultimate particle, it's going to be infinitely dense and it's going to be magical. Now, critical thinkers out, the reason you're on this channel is because you don't believe in that, and I don't either. So what are people outside the mainstream thinking about? Well, one of them is infinity to the rescue. Dr. Glenn Borkert, who is literally the infinity guru, who says he's working on, he's working in silence, but he should be launching his YouTube channel really soon. He's actually got his channel there. You can subscribe ahead of time to it, and I would look on my channel, my homepage on the channel over there. You can see recommendations that I have. Dr. Infinity, Mr. Infinity, Infinity Guru. That's what comes to the rescue. The answer is, there is no ultimate particle. For things to organize, something this big, if it's traveling like this, and all of a sudden it looks like it's going like this, it's not because it's doing that magically. There's a force somewhere in the universe that causes it to curve. Let's say these are bunches of particles. Let's say it's a gravity particle, a particle that causes gravity. It's going to come in and make something push. It's going like this, but all of a sudden it may turn. Then, no, it's not. Light bends gravity. Gravity bends light. No, I'm not talking about this. It's just a particle. It's a particle. For this particle to turn, it doesn't matter what it is. If this is a planet flying one of those rogue planets between solar systems, which there are, if it's going to turn, something is causing it to turn. If that's the case, there's a smaller particle out there doing that. And for it to do that, and it to organize itself, It's got to have smaller particles below that to organize it. And infinitely down. Turtles all the way down. And it could be turtles all the way up, which a lot of us believe is true too. Some people will believe we're the top turtle. Doesn't matter. Infinity is there if you want to solve all these problems of the ultimate particle. Things don't organize magically. They can't be infinitely dense, then what? Everything's infinitely heavy. So those are things that we need to address, and infinity helps us out there. Of course, there's an uncomfortable part of an infinity, and that is infinitely all the way down. That means there are probably little worlds, infinite little worlds all around us. But the good news is they're in their own space. They're not parallel, whatever the heck that means. I know a lot of my listeners are here because they can't take that either. Parallel universes. Parallel universes touch, and those brains, they're called brains. I'm not making this up. They touch and explode into the Big Bang. And that's how the Big Bang started. That's one of the ideas. As I say, shoot me now. So anyways, infinity to the rescue. And also, if we have all that, what happens? You guys are here. One of the things I promised always is talked about what? New models for particles. What happens now that we have people who are decades and decades outside the mainstream, like you, who are here, who are critical thinkers? Maybe some of you have PhDs in science. Some of you are engineers. Some of you are software engineers like me. Some of you are just love science. Do something else, but you love science. You think about it. And I'm not going to take all this mumbo jumbo. What are the new models telling us? Well, we have new models of particle models of the universe. One of them, you can go look at it, and he is explaining step by step his entire model. If you like the mainstream model, but you want to go from 19 free variables to just 4 or 5 constants or variables as well, simplify the current system, then Jeff Yee and the Particles of the Universe YouTube channel, subscribe to him. I love his model. It's not my model, because my dad and I have our own model, and I have disagreements about it, but is his model really good and better? Absolutely. 100%. I'll take that model as reality way before I'll take the mainstream's model. That's one model. Take a look at it. I won't tell you about it. Go subscribe to him. Other ones are ether models. Like Dr. Glenn Borkert has an ether model. What's an ether model? It says, well, light can't be nothing. It's waves through something. And what is that? Ether. Oh, ether models have been disproved. Old ether models have been disproved. There are new ones. And they deal with all the problems of ether. So get over it. Mainstream people, oh, it's done. If you're an etherist, what are you working in? No. And you want to get even farther than that. My father and I are using a particle model. You know what it's based on? Moving mass. That's it. Nothing more. Everything is moving mass. Light is moving mass. Gravity is moving mass. Everything is. And they all work under Newtonian law. The ether under Borkert works under Newtonian law. There's not even such thing as charge, because just because you put a plus and minus on something doesn't mean that they come together. So the particle model, my father and I, is based on infinity. It keeps going down. You have gravity particles at level 1. You have gravity particles at level 2, and gravity particles at level 3. Borkert has ether particles at level 1. At below the level of that, ether particles at level 2. And ether, so he calls them A1, A2, A3. We have G1, G2, G3. We also have A1, 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 A2, A3, but there are atoms. We say they're periodic tables below us. But it's all doesn't have the problem with the ultimate particle. Now, I will say that Jeff Yee does seem to have the ultimate particle. And yes, he's going to suffer with those problems of having to put characteristics on them. But it still doesn't matter. Why? Because he's simplifying the current system, if you were to pick between the two. But like I said, it's not me, it's not Jeff Yee, it's not Borkert. We're not the ones here to let you, to tell you the truth. I don't want to tell you the truth. I hope you don't believe any of this. You know why? Because if you go and look for yourself and look at the data, you're going to say, maybe the data for the Earth expansion is correct. Maybe Jeff Yee's particle model of the universe is way better. Yep. Oh, maybe infinity is really important. And yeah, models probably should adopt this because we don't believe in magic. Or if you do adopt it, at least understand what those things are. Think for yourself. So now that you know about the ultimate particle, and I've opened some doors for you as to think about it, think about the current system. Think about infinity. Take a look at the models out there. And like I say, don't take anyone's word on faith. You stay critical. You stay thinking. I am Dave D. Hilster. I am your science therapist, bringing you things and revealing things that you've always felt inside, but I'm putting real concrete answers to them. Ciao for now.